what I'm working on now is mountains. Well, the cardboard freehand templates will also let us do some mountains in minutes. And those of you that know what mountains in minutes are chuckling in the background right now, and I got to give respect to the man because he was very inspirational to me as I used to watch him in all his glory and his white hair just up there with his happy mountains and his happy rocks. So basically, let's start with a little bit of background here. Regular old cardboard. You can get this anywhere from usually the box, the case that comes with your favorite adult drinking beverage. So what I like to do is to rip the cardboard in half to start with and get this waxy stuff out of the way. I've had experiences in the past where the paint will hit this slippery surface and then just bounce right off the glaze in spider, centipede, whatever you want to call it, right onto my artwork. So my technique, my style, I prefer just a regular cardboard, both sides. The more jagged, the better. And then once you get it to something that resembles, you know, a mountain, I guess, you know, you just kind of rip and tear away at it a little bit as you go. Like I said, the more jagged, the better. Because it's creating a ton of little details that you don't have to create with the airbrush anymore. It allows you to do other things like some cool gradients in the background or really cool texturing. Now the other thing that I had mentioned was the old Scotch-Brite trick. You take a little piece of Scotch-Brite, you rip it, and you end up with a little piece of something or another that you can use. Now, what I found that works good for me is to actually take that and peel it in half long ways or thin ways or whatever, so that you end up with two really thin pieces of Scotch-Brite that you should, more or less, be able to see through. That works really good for me. I found that I don't have to put down as much paint. Over time, these little pores, these openings can clog up. So, back to the mountains. I'll illustrate for you. This is some of the mountains that I've done before. Pretty simple technique. You just kind of take your quick mountain template there and kind of buzz in real quick. Something along those lines, and then you know, it's not a bad looking mountain, right? So then we can take another piece of this and just kind of, mostly on the cardboard, spraying something like that, and create a nice little shadow. So you know what, we might have a little mountain that lives right here, a little happy mountain, as I alluded to earlier. Something right over there. So, you know, it's a little bit of give and take, I guess. You know, get you the idea of the main part of the mountain in the way there, and then you know, you can come in later on and put the real details to it. Now, just like any other template, you don't want to go overboard with using the same template over and over and over, because then it's going to look stenciled. You know, your whole theme isn't going to look real. If it doesn't look real, well, it kind of defeats the purpose of the art. Art to me is about, it's about line, really. And, you know, here I got this flat surface, and I'm putting, you know, I'm putting flat paint and flat, you know, on top of a flat surface, and yet I want you to believe that it's not flat. It's not three-dimensional, but yet that's what we want our viewers to believe. So there's a certain amount of lying that we can do within our lying. We can fake on the shading sometimes. You can fake on the shapes sometimes. But I found that you cannot fake on both the shading and the shapes. Otherwise, it's just, at that point, it's just too far fantasy and it just doesn't look right. So keep that in mind. You know, you can lie about some of these, like the highlights here on the nose of the dragon. If this is my light source, it doesn't make sense for any of these highlights to be here. So in a way, this is lying, but in a way, it's also true. But it's lying on the shading and not the shape. As you can see, the shape looks pretty accurate. Chuckle, chuckle. Okay, yeah, I've never really seen a dragon reeling up close before. But we have seen snakes, we've seen crocodiles, we've seen other scaled reptilians before, so that we know what scales should look like. We can get reference images of any scaled animal, and then we can duplicate that into our shape. So there is a little bit of truth within the lie. Well, how that came up from mountains is beyond me. Couple little spots in here, and then you know, consider these mountains just more or less blocked in, and then we can go and add a little bit of texture. Just you know, a little bit goes a long way. And as you're watching this video, this is my first attempt at an actual full-blown I'm airbrushing while I try to give a tutorial. So you know, keep in mind there are better people out there. One of the guys that actually inspired me to do one of these tutorials. Oh yeah, and that's another thing you never say, especially when you're on camera, is whoops. No, I meant to do that. Is the guy over at airbrushtutor.com. So back to the mountains here. Just adding a little bit of other stuff in here to try and, you know, the darker something is usually suggests that it's further in the background. The lighter something is, maybe basic art class in high school or something may have taught you this, but the brighter something is suggests that it's in the foreground. So on top of trying to make our mountains shaded correctly with our light source, our multiple light sources as it were, we also have to keep in mind that we're trying to create the illusion of depth on a flat surface. After we get these blocked in, take a step back and look at it and see how it looks as far as the overall shading of it. Now I remember why I brought up the guy over at airbrushtutor.com. I can't remember his name. The classy, cool guy with the Australian accent. Yeah, that should narrow it down. He does a video on airbrush textures, where you get micro textures, you got figure eights, and then you got like this running dot. I don't remember what he calls everything, but there are no rules to that. This entire section is a gradient. You know, I started off with a gradient, and then I came back with the black, and I just did figure eights in there. Came back a little bit more gradient over top. Then when I was doing the highlights with the white, I noticed that this little spot in here, it needed some highlights. So I came back in with you know, a freehand template, and I got the curve to match there, and then did some white figure eights over top of this. So there are no rules, and you can stack your textures, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know, I mean, this right here, it just looks, this part of the scale looks ultra smooth because there are no little textures in there. It's all just gradients. So it doesn't really look, to me it doesn't look real. I mean, you got this scales everywhere, giant textures everywhere, blowing your mind with all the detail. And then here you got these, you know, ultra like razor blade sharp looking things. So, you know, I'm going to have to go back in and put some little little imperfections in there, maybe some cracks and tears and stuff, but I'm going to have to shade some of that away as it doesn't look believable. That might be another video. But I think we get the idea here of what we can do with a little bit of freehand template work to really put down the foundation for some maybe good looking background mountains. You know, obviously they're not perfect right out of the box, but I mean, that's a hell of a start to go back in and add a little bit of detail. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know. This is my first time doing this kind of thing, so let me know how I did. Leave your comments. Don't be too rude. My family members look at these videos, so you know, don't be too vulgar. But let me know how I did. Maybe we'll make another one later on down the road about I don't know, scales. Offer your suggestions. That's what this creative process should be about. So thanks for watching. I hope you pulled something from this video, and maybe we'll see you again real soon. Cut. As I said before, I'm talking to myself. I'm going to edit this part out. Y'all will never see it.